All right, guys, going to give a little update on Steve's car here, his 55. So, done lots of little things to his car, and it's almost ready to start. Getting close. Missing a few more little items, but he got a couple of things ordered. So, we've had kind of a change in plan and then a change back to original plan type of thing. So the original idea was to get this running and driving. He could take it and drive it. He was going to get his upholstery done and all that stuff. And then, later get vintage air and put it on the car. So I was trying to figure out a way to get this fuel line kind of mounted for now until we put the vintage air on, like, next season or whatever from now. So then a couple weeks ago, he decided we'd go ahead and do air conditioning. So I was like, okay, great. So we'll get the air conditioning compressor on this side and I'll be able to, figure out something like drill a hole and put a bolt and a nut and a clamp to hold the fuel line out of the way. So I was like, cool. So anyway, we kind of figured out that it's going to cost a lot of money for him to do vintage air. Not only does he have to buy the kit, but he has to pay me to install it. And this mechanical flex fan is not going to cut it for cooling. This is already borderline of probably not going to work anyway with this stuff here. There's too big a space in this fan shroud. This is non-adjustable, so this needs to be taken back off, and I'm going to have to probably either build new brackets or modify it somehow to get it closer to the shroud. Also, the radiator is too far forward. It needs to come back a little bit to kind of close up all this space so there's no air loss from the fan being able to pull air through the radiator. So another problem is putting a fan probe on it, a good one that actually screws into a fitting and not the kind that, goes in through the core on the radiator. The cooling fins, or one that kind of goes up under and down in underneath the radiator cap, which I think is just a messy, not very nice to look at type of rig. This old school 327 does not have any holes in the block or in the heads for, adding a probe to turn the electric fan on automatically. So it needs an electric fan if he's going to go with air conditioning. The other problem is the AC condenser has to go in front of the radiator. That's another reason why this needs to be sucked up, was for that as well. It's not going to clear the hood latch. It's too close. I can actually show you on my car what I'm talking about. When you run a 6-cylinder mount radiator, in front of the core support is 6-cylinder position. I like it because it looks better. You don't see all down inside the core support. I like them when they're out here, but I always run long water pump stuff on my small block Chevy, so I have to have the room. But when you go to put an air conditioning condenser in front of the radiator, there's limited space. I can barely get my fingertips down in there. So now my radiator could probably be put back a little ways, but I have a pretty thick pulley nose cover on my water pump pulley. So right now I've got, I don't know, a little bit of space in between there. So there is room for adjustment to go back. You can kind of see I've got it all the way forward here on the slotted mount. It would go way back here. But with Steve's, the problem is this is one of those very inexpensive eBay special radiators, and they actually put the mount is on too far back. It needs to be up here a lot further because it's at its end of adjustment. There might be enough room on there, or maybe build another plate off the back of it and modify it somehow. I don't have an aluminum welder, a spool gun or anything, so I can't, remove this and reset it and all that kind of crap. Something else would have to be modified to use this radiator. The problem is these radiators are on eBay for like $100. These are very, very inexpensive. These cool just fine. On small blocks. I know of a couple of these being used, but anyway, it just doesn't mount correctly. So my idea was for him to get another radiator, a better quality one that has a port in it to put a fan probe for the electric fan. So when he, figures up what all this is going to cost to change all this stuff around with new parts and labor and their vintage air and all that, it's going to be expensive. So his idea was to not do the air conditioning. So we're not going to do the air now. Problem is he doesn't have a heater either. He has his original deluxe heater box at his house, but when they did the firewall, they welded up the holes for the heater core. And obviously those are going to have to be opened back up to be able to use the heater core. So I need to get the heater box stuff and I guess look it over. This may be a problem where this transmission dipstick is now. So I mean, it's kind of a, every time we do something, it's a snowball effect, you know what I mean? But anyway, we'll figure it out. If I have to, I'll have to move that over, but I don't know what I'm going to do about the holes that's drilled in the firewall. This is why mock-up is key. Have all your parts when you're mocking something up. But anyway, stock starter, I've got it back off there. He does have a new one on order, a mini starter, so we're going to be putting a mini starter on it. I did wrap the header with some heat wrap, and I put some nice little stainless wire on it to hold it in place. I got the engine to frame ground on, which I've got it hidden so you don't really see it. You can barely see it right there. So I built it, I put lugs on the end of it and everything, and I actually drilled and tapped the frame, and it's bolted into the frame up here at the cradle. You can barely see it right there. And I've got it going to the bottom of the engine mount. So now the engine is grounded to the frame. Now I've mentioned this in my videos before. If you're building an old car, you have to, if it's a full frame car, not a unibody, this is talking about a full frame car, you have to have 3 grounds on your car. You have to have your engine grounded, your chassis grounded, and your body grounded. That way you have a full ground circuit if you have any grounds on any of that stuff. So the battery is not mounted up here on the firewall anymore. It's now in the trunk. So I've got battery cables going to the body on the ground and also to the chassis. So the body's grounded and the chassis grounded. The only thing left was the engine. So I ended up doing it to the chassis to the engine instead of firewall to engine like they were from the factory. So now it has a complete ground circuit. So I ended up taking some of the stuff back loose. I had everything bolted on up here except the crankcase vent port on the back of the block. I'm modifying a hose to go down there with a little small stub filter type of thing, and I've got to put a clamp on it and bolt it to the bell housing and all that kind of stuff. But it's going to be something like this with a little cone filter. That way no bugs can climb up there in that hole. But this is the port that goes onto the back of the block, and I got a couple of feet of crankcase vent hose for that. So anyway, a little bit of mods to finish up under there. I got his finned aluminum trans pan on the car. It looks really, really nice. I got the battery cable ran partially. I've still got to finish up the back. The problem is these clamps are one size too big for the cable, so it's too loose. So I'm going to try to put some heat shrink on there to take up the space. It's not a whole lot bigger of a clamp, but I'll try to get it to where it's not moving around. I got the under taillight V8 emblems on. The battery box stuff is all finished up and done. The trunk mats cut and fit back here at the back tail pan. I had to trim off the back of it. Got the back bumper kind of assembled. It's not tight. Anyway, I have to finish putting this together, and I'm going to have help to get it mounted on the car. He got the accessory guards to put on here, and I'm guessing, I don't know where he got these. I'm guessing these are originals because you can see the pitted chrome on the back. But you can also see the nick marks where this had a dent and they've straightened it all out. But these are not reproductions. These are originals, and they even have the old rusty bolts in there, which I'm going to change out to stainless. But I've never put a set of those on before, and he has them for the front, and he has the grill guard as well. So it'll have the bumper with all the accessory guards. You know, I have to drill a hole in the bumper on both sides, and I'm not looking forward to that because, you know, I don't want the chrome to flake or the drill bit to slip or something silly. So I'm going to have to take a lot of precaution there and probably put a lot of tape on. This is the station wagon style bumper. The station wagons had an indent for the license plate. On the cars like this, they just had a solid bumper across there, and the license plate mounted right here on the trunk lid. So they welded up these holes and smoothed that, and he's putting the license plate on the bumper. This is kind of a neat upgrade. A lot of people have been doing this for years, so it's nothing new. But this is what he wanted, and this is what he's getting. So he got a brand new license plate light assembly, lamp assembly. Comes with lenses, gaskets, and the housing and everything. They didn't send us any screws, and I dug through all my stuff here. These are a fine thread. I think they're 832 if I remember right. Anyway, I only had 2 on the whole place, so I'm going to have to make a special trip. The ones I have, the 2 I have, are too long anyway. So I've got to go get 4 stainless steel screws for that to put the license plate lights in here on these guards. So it's you know, some assembly required, we'll say, and some hardware required. Even when you buy a brand new license plate light kit, you would think it would come with that. So I did get a ACC carpet kit. In my opinion, ACC carpet, the molded carpet, is the best. I always run ACC when I can. To me, it's the best. And I do believe that is the one-piece kit, because they do sell 2 pieces. And so when you put them in, you have an open area in your floor underneath your seat that there's not even any carpet on. So if you're getting a carpet set, a molded, pre-molded, make sure it is a one-piece. They are a little bit more money, but to me, it's worth it. You get more sound deadening with all the carpet and the whole thing. But anyway, I've been kind of messing with a shifter. I've got a couple of different ideas if you've been following along, or if you haven't been following along. The transmission's too close to the bottom of the tunnel, and there's a piece that goes down through the floor and over the side of the trans for the shifter to operate the transmission itself, and it's in the way because it's too close to the tunnel, so I have to raise everything up. And the brackets were on backwards, so I had to flip those around. So I mean, this is a huge mess. I have a couple of ideas of avenues I may go, but I still have to mess with that a little bit. So this is kind of the big mess here. It's not now, but it was. So this is his instrument cluster here, and somebody had mentioned it in the comments to get polycarbonate, and that's what I ended up getting. He got the Classic Instruments instrument cluster set, and it came with a glass lens that wasn't even tempered. So when I tried to tighten and bolt everything together, it broke it in half, which I think is a safety issue anyway. You shouldn't put glass lenses in speedometers. These originally were plastic anyway, but I know they had glass back in older cars, because I had a 46 Plymouth Coupe, I had a 48 Oldsmobile, and those cars had glass lenses if I remember right. But anyway, I tried 2 different sheets. I broke the first one out of just plexiglass trying to cut it out. It cracked it from Lowe's. I went down and got another piece, tried cutting it out, and it cracked it. Somebody in the comments had mentioned it when I talked about it to get polycarbonate, and that's what this is. Stuff is not cheap, but I ended up getting it. I cut it all out, sanded the edges and everything, and it fits really, really nice. So if you have to cut this out, you can use a cutoff wheel and a sanding block and go through there. I think I used 220 grit paper and just work the edge. You do see a little hairy edges, but it's the covering. This has a protective film on both sides so it doesn't scratch the lens. But anyway, that is really, really good stuff for speedometer lens. Now it won't, if it's in a bad accident, no shards of glass will fly out and cut your face off, you know what I mean? I don't know why a company would put real glass on a speedometer. It's just, I think it's silly. I don't even know if that would be legal, like DOT legal. I don't know. Not an engineer, couldn't tell you. But that was my suggestion. Instead of ordering another glass lens from the company, which I'm sure they have to sell extra lenses all the time, because I know I'm not the first one that's probably broke that. They send you these little bitty teeny tiny little clear bubble little stick-on thingies to put in there to keep that from happening, and it still happens. So it's not going to break now. So I recommended Steve this chrome on all his dash parts are original, and they are pitted. I don't know, that's probably too bright, but you can see all the pitting and all this stuff. See, I've cleaned this up, and it's pitted, man. It looks like hell. So this car has been frame off restored. The chassis looks amazing. Underneath the car looks amazing. The paint job's nice. All the chrome on the car has been replaced. Of course, he's getting the upholstery done at one point, but all the dash parts are old pitted chrome crap, and the bow tie trim's brand new. So I told him, since I have to have that apart to put that together, and he's got a brand new quartz clock in the box that I get to put in for the clock, I asked him if he would get me the kit, so it'll be all brand new pieces, and he agreed, which I think is a good move, because, you know, you're going to be inside the car driving it. the dash is going to be right in front of your face. You're going to see that pitted chrome all the time. And to me, that's the icing on the cake, is having all that stuff new. Now, I've done lots of other little stuff, lots of little tidbits. I ended up taking the flexible transmission dipstick apart, took this bracket off and over-bent it in my sheet metal brake, because this was almost touching the firewall with it just 90-degree bent. So I bent it more. Now it has plenty of clearance. The problem is that dipstick has a hard metal wire instead of a plastic like a low car. This is, I don't know what brand that is, but that thing sucks to get back down in there. But anyway, little tidbits, little things done, just that little stuff that takes up so much time. But getting there, man, getting there. I got the fuel line on the back is all flared and bolted to the sending unit. I drilled and tapped the body and put a nice clamp on there, one of these clamps. I had an extra one, the billet two-piece clamp, and bolted the fuel line to the body back there. And I even put a nice little clamp back there holding the sending unit wire on. So it's going to be a nice freaking car, man. So, waiting on the starter to come in. I had him pick me up some oil and some additive. This is what I use. I don't care what you all use. You can use whatever you want. We have a hydraulic flat tappet cam in here, and that's what I run in all my stuff. So you have to have like a ZDDP type of additive, and this is what I run, is one of these with this oil right here. So anyway, going to be breaking it in. This is why I always use, it's comp additives and comp oil, so I know that stuff will mix well together. But this is what I always use, and I haven't had any flat tappet issues. So anyway, we got the comp oil and the stuff to put in. I did put on a new, it's a Permacool oil filter adapter. It's a one-piece unit with a rubber seal instead of having a two-piece, you know, one new piece and an original piece to put the spin-on oil filter on. This took a canister style originally on this 327. So now it has a nice one-piece unit on there now. Let's see, I think I showed all this stuff done, but anyway, it's just been lots of little things done. I got the window put in. If you didn't catch that video from a few weeks back, somebody put two left-hand lower pieces on the glass for the track. It had a left on both sides, so I couldn't bolt that up there. So I dug around in my shed, found an original, blasted it, painted it. I even had it welded on it because somebody had brazed a piece on it, and I welded it as well just to be safe. I got the new rollers on. This was a reproduction door, so I had to drill two new holes here. The ones they have in this door are too far forward, so you couldn't even get the roller on, so I had to drill those out. And all the hole locations for the stainless trim was in the wrong location, and I had welded those up last summer, and then I never re-drilled them. I went to put the trim on, and I was like, oh crap, I forgot to re-drill and tap the holes because they're 832. So I had to drill and tap all that, and then I got everything back together. I got the new cotton sleeving in and put on, and I used plastic clamps with a screw with a serrated flange nut on the back, so this won't be all rattly, bangy, and clangy. It is missing the little clips up here. It's supposed to have a clip like this on the front and the back, but they're both missing on both sides. And I went out to get some off the four-door stuff, and they're rusted, they're junk. So when I try to take one off, it just come apart. But anyway, the way it's all bent, it'll be fine. It'll still be okay, but it may be something we need to order and put on later before he gets his door panels on. But I mean, there's probably other little stuff too. I'm just not thinking of it at the moment, but it's almost ready to start. And Jim, the guy that built the engine, he is wanting to come over here when we first fire it up to break in the hydraulic flat tappet. And I want to leave the front fenders and off of it just like this. I have the core support hard mounted to the chassis so it doesn't move. If I had the rubber mount under there right now, this would kind of fall back and that fan would probably get into something. So when I do go to put the front clip on, I will take the bolts back out of the core support and put the rubber pad in there and bolt it back down. So this is how I want to break the engine in, because we've got easy access to get in here and tune it, time it, check for leaks, you know, keep an eye on it and all that kind of stuff. We're going to put, Steve said he had a large fan. He's going to bring that. We're going to put it on here and plug it in so it'll have air going into the radiator when we break the cam in for 25 minutes at whatever RPM I set that carb at. But anyway, pretty exciting stuff. But I got a way to get the mini starter here so I can get the cable final routed. I'm going to have to build a bracket off the frame for that to keep it away from the header and all kinds of stuff. But It's getting close, man. It is getting very close. I did some stainless steel bolt stuff here on the forward body mounts only because you did see that. Anyway, it's just stuff that I had here, and it looks way better than it did. So I guess that's about it. What else? So I finally got my car out and drove it. I took it up to the gas station a while ago, put a little gas in it and stuff, and come back. And I need to try to fix these brakes. So I might mess with this tonight before it gets dark. I never have fixed it. So I've always had a little clicking sound in the front of my car. When I go to apply the brakes, you kind of hear a click sound. And it's the brake pads. And these are expensive. These are, I don't remember what brand these are. But they, that's it right there. The brake pad is too loose on the caliper right there, so I'm going to take the brake pads, take the rotors off, or the calipers off, not the rotors, and I'm going to kind of tweak around on those. They have these little ears on the brackets on those, and I'm going to try to kind of peel them outward just a little bit so they grab onto that. This face side on these G-body style calipers that's on this car, they stay in place. They don't move. The other one is inside the piston and it moves with the piston, but this one's stationary, so I'm going to modify that one to hold. But that pad actually moves up and down. You can move it up and down, and there's too much slack in it. They don't have the ears in the right location. And I don't remember what brand those are, but they're Power Stop, I think, but I don't remember for sure. But I don't remember what they were. They were very expensive. I want to say they were like 60 bucks or something ridiculous just for the pads. And I have not seen any brake dust on those wheels since I've been wiping them off. So I want to keep them, you know what I mean? They're not no cheap brake pad, and the car stops pretty good, but I'm gonna have to modify that a little bit. I've messed with a lot of G-bodies in my time, a lot of them. That was my first 4 or 5 cars I had as a kid, was G-bodies, and I've still had G-bodies. I've built a bunch of them. I have 5 G-bodies here, 5 Monte Carlo SS's, actually 4 here, one's not here yet. But I have never had a brake pad on a G-body that was sloppy like that. So it is definitely from the manufacturer. If I can't modify them, then I will change them. I have a brand new set of G-body brake calipers up there. Look like they're Brake Best brand. I have a little selection of stuff up there. Anyway, guys, I guess that's about it. I did do a video Saturday working on my 2-door post. I didn't get a lot done because my grinder went out. I've probably got enough video clips I could probably put something together for you. But I did work on it Saturday, but when I come out Sunday morning, I had 20 minutes to put everything up because rain was coming. So I didn't end up working on that Sunday at all. But I guess that's it. That's your update. Sorry, it's just a walk and talk, but at least you got some. Thanks for watching. I actually forgot to mention this. So Steve had bought a new chrome window frame and a new wing glass, just the glass, because the previous shop tried to install this together in the wing glass assembly with it in the car, because they bent the frame, they cracked the chrome, and broke the glass. So Steve bought the frame and the glass separately, and neither one of them came with the glass setting channel that goes over that glass to put it in there. It has a rubber seal that goes on it. Luckily, I had some glass setting channel here. It was a little taller, so it stuck way out. Anyway, I ended up using it. I got the glass installed and sealed in, and then I went back with a X-Acto knife and went right around the edge of it and cut the excess off. So anyway, that was kind of a fiasco, but I got through it. Anyway, let's see if... Oh, isn't that lovely? It doesn't surprise me, man. That is the right. If you get to under taillight V8 emblems for your 55, make sure they are correct for your side. See how it has an R in it right there? There is a left. Right there, it has an L on it, right in the bow tie. My assumption was correct. The screws in the stop kit, these are bigger than the holes in this aftermarket door. So I get to drill and tap those. How awesome is that? They fit on that door, but that's because that door is original G.